Hi, my name is Ashley Brown, and I am a Client Engagement Manager at Simmons Research. Our team has created a series of short tutorials to help you navigate through OneView. In today's session, I will be focusing on when to rebase your audience. As you can recall from our tutorial on how to read crosstab data, a base, which can also be known as a filter or universe, filters out anyone who does not conform to the selected criteria. It can be a little bit easier to understand by looking at it in a more visual way. So, here we have this large blue circle, which is going to represent the approximate 30,000 individuals in the Simmons national sample. This dark blue circle represents what happens when you apply a base. By choosing a Simmons variable as your filter, the base overlays that information across the entire crosstab and makes your comparison point smaller. Then we have this small red circle, which represents our target, which is a subset of the total sample or universe. If you have not chosen a base, your indices will be compared to the total 18 plus population. If you have chosen a base, the comparison point is always built to the universe chosen. In order to understand why it is sometimes important to rebase your audience, it's helpful to look at the way the calculations for indices are done. Indices are always calculated in relation to your base. They are determined by dividing the percent of your target by the percent of your total, i.e. your base, and then you multiply that by 100. If you have included people in your total percentage who weren't asked your question or answered negatively, you will then be reporting inaccurate indices for your base. You will be including people in your total that did not answer the question applied to your target. So, this brings me to a few instances where you absolutely must rebase your audience. First, we have when you use any of the variables that are only asked of those who identified themselves as people of Spanish, Hispanic, or Latino origin. In this instance, you want to rebase your audience to be people who responded yes to the question, "Are you of Hispanic origin?" Next, we always want to rebase our audience when we're reviewing any variables related to makeup or feminine hygiene products. This is because these questions are only asked of female respondents, so you want to make sure that your base would be females only. And then lastly, we have when you're profiling consumers of alcohol. You absolutely want to rebase your audience to be respondents 21 plus when looking at alcohol products, because otherwise you will be including a portion of people who are not even legally allowed to drink and therefore did not respond to the questions regarding alcohol. And finally, there are some instances where it is not necessarily wrong to leave your base as the total adult population. I've chosen the example here of lip care products. As you can see, we asked the respondent to answer a gate question regarding whether or not they use lip care products. If they indicate that yes, they use lip care products, we then ask them to answer a series of questions regarding their usage of lip care items, such as brand, how often they use, how often they buy, etc. If you're reporting information based on usage by index, but you haven't changed your base to reflect those who answered yes to using lip care products, your data is going to be falsely elevated as it is including people that are non-users in your calculations. This concludes my session on when to rebase your audience. If you have any questions regarding when to rebase your audience, please make sure to reach out to your Client Engagement Manager. Thank you.